Hi there, it's Michael from polygoniq. Today I will show you how we made this animation using traffiq and botaniq. We just released rigs with our custom follow path operators for traffiq, and this scene is supposed to showcase it. I started by modeling this nice curvy road. I wasn't sure how wide it should be, so I found standardized dimensions on the internet. These ones are for Czech Republic, so I don't recommend reading the text if you want to avoid headache. Method I used for modeling the road might seem a bit weird, but it was actually pretty quick. I used Bezier curve with bevel option in object properties, converted the curve to mesh, deleted bottom edge loop and dissolved top one. I made a turn around the road and lifted the road with proportional editing. I gave the road some thickness and beveled the edge. To create the lanes, I made a simple cube guides according to blueprints, but it wasn't really necessary. I made the lines from existing geometry by inserting loop cuts, beveling and then duplicating and separating the geometry. To stick the lanes to the road, I used this modifier stack, starting with subdivision modifiers set to simple, shrink wrap and solidify. In like manner, I made a path for cars to follow. I inserted loop cut, duplicated, separated object and converted mesh to curve. I slightly adjusted the shape of curve to make more realistic car path. Then again applied shrink wrap to stick the path to surface. The road material has quite confusing node setup. I will show you just the most important parts that it consists of. It's asphalt material from Materialic overlaid with this texture. For this texture, I had to make straight UV map along the whole road. Second overlay texture is this damaged patchy asphalt. And then there is Materialic asphalt with normal map for close-ups as a base. For the forest, I used particle system. Problem with particle systems for forest is that you can't control individual trees and their distance between each other. That's why I made this grid object and sticked it on terrain with shrink wrap. I spawned multiple trees from botaniq and converted them to editable. Then I edit animation with this automatic make instance checkbox turned off, because you can't use collection instances for particle systems in Blender. If you scrub through timeline, you can see the trees are moving. You have to put these trees in separate collection for a particle system. Now at the particle system, select Hair, go to Render tab and choose your collection. To set tree rotation, I activated Object Rotation checkbox and rotated the trees in collection. You could also do it in the rotation menu if you turn on advanced settings, but I just like to do it like a noob. As you can see here, sometimes there are two trees on one face really close to each other, which isn't supposed to happen. To fix it, you need to set particles per face to 1. If you play the animation, you can see it's working. There is currently 1000 animated trees. Then I also added few particle systems with grass, bushes, pebbles and rocks around the road. It was quite easy to set up with scatter function in botaniq. The tree debris around the road are just a low poly plane with displacement texture and few modifiers. The texture doesn't have the best quality, but from far distance it looks fine and it's really easy to work with. Now is finally time to add the animated cars. This process can usually take up to 5 minutes per car. You have to add follow path constraint, set keyframes, set all ground sensors and a lot of click in between. Because it was annoying even in this small scene with few cars, I consulted it with our programming team and we made a simple solution. You just select your car, path and ground and click follow path. For camera animation, I used this camera rig from LensSwap. It's really handy and it gave me much more control over my camera. I parented target to the car and you can already see that the movement looks great. Also you have separated controls like panning or rotating, so you can animate them individually. To change the timing of cars, you need to select your rig and go to Graph Editor. You will see two keyframes, on the beginning and on the end. You can move both and adjust the timing, or you can put them closer together and increase the speed. To achieve more realistic suspension, I manually animated this controller in every turn. Well, and then I just worked on details. I improved lighting, composition, camera and car animation to improve it. I consulted feedback with our team, rendered few viewport renders and low quality renders like this before I made the final. When I was satisfied, I used two computers with RTX 3090 to render this animation over the weekend. And it took approximately 120 hours of render time, but I think it was worth it. I hope that you like the final animation, and that you enjoyed this breakdown. If you have any question, let me know in the comments and I will try to answer you. See you next time.